was in a relationship with a man, let's call him Damien, a behavioral analyst under a military contract in California. We met in South Korea and stayed together even after he moved back to the US in 2024. I trusted him completely. He never once mentioned having a wife or a second-chance marriage. I believed our connection was real. But I didn't find out the truth from him. I found it on the T app, exposed like gossip, except it was my life. That's when everything started to fall apart. Before we get into the sweet part, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because tomorrow's video is quite interesting, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. I never imagined I'd stumble across the truth on a gossip app of all places. I wasn't even looking for anything. It was one of those mindless scrolls before bed, just something to numb the noise in my head after a long day. You know the kind: comment threads, petty drama, anonymous callouts, and then there he was, Damien, his face unmistakable. That same faint scar near his eyebrow, the one he said he got falling off his bike as a kid. The familiar, smug half-smile I'd seen so many times on video calls. Except this time, the context was different. It was a post under the tag military. Spouses T. Someone had uploaded screenshots of his Instagram. A photo of him standing outside a base in California, arm wrapped around a woman in uniform, kids at their feet. The caption read, "Imagine finding out your man's got a whole wife and family back in the States while telling you he's single in Korea. Hashtag, do better Damien. Double quotes. I felt everything in me still. My finger hovered over the screen, refusing to swipe. A flush rose in my chest, not just from embarrassment, but something deeper, like my blood had turned to concrete. I read the post again. Then again, same man, same name, same damn laugh lines around the eyes. I sat there frozen for I don't know how long before my hands started shaking. My first thought wasn't even, he cheated. It was, how could I have not known? Because Damien wasn't just some guy I went on a few dates with. He had been my boyfriend, my person, someone I trusted with the softest parts of me. And now he was reduced to some viral T-post, his betrayal dissected by strangers. It's hard to explain what it feels like when your entire relationship cracks in a single scroll. It wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. Everything we'd shared, every private call, every late-night conversation, it all felt like a lie. Just heartbroken. I felt stupid. We met in South Korea during his contract rotation as a behavioral analyst at a private education firm. He stood out in a crowd, not because he was flashy, but because he seemed grounded, steady. His voice had this calming register. And when he laughed, it was always with his whole body, like he didn't hold back. That made me feel safe. Our first conversation happened at a small book cafe in Hongdae. I was browsing titles on interpersonal trauma for a research project, and he casually recommended one I'd never heard of. We talked for 3 hours that day. By the time I left, I had a new contact saved in my phone and a strange feeling in my chest, like I'd been understood in a way I hadn't in a long time. When Damien left Korea in mid-2024 to return to California, we agreed to try long distance. I wasn't naive. I knew how hard that could be, but he made it easy. He messaged every morning, called every night. We even had a shared calendar for movie nights and Discord hangouts. He'd talk about his work, his frustrations with the bureaucracy, how he missed Korean coffee. He made space for me. For months, I had no reason to doubt him. The first seed of unease was small, almost unnoticeable. A user on his Discord server had a profile picture I swore I'd seen before. She didn't speak much, but Damien responded to her differently. Subtly deferential, but familiar. I remember asking, "Hey, who's that?" He waved it off. "Just an old friend from back in the States. My ex-wife, actually. But we're just chill now. No drama, ex-wife. Past tense. That should have been the end of it." But something in his voice had that vague, dismissive tone he used when he didn't want to be questioned. I wanted to believe him. I needed to. He told me they hadn't spoken seriously in over 2 years. that they were on friendly terms for the sake of old times. He told me that, and I chose to believe it, even after I caught them hanging out together on Discord more than once. Sometimes she'd send him private messages, which he said were just life updates. Sometimes she'd pop up in a game lobby while I was logged in, but leave before I could hear her voice. And sometimes, late at night, I'd see him glance off camera during our video calls, like someone had entered the room, but when I asked, he'd say, "Just my neighbor." Still, I stayed, because he was warm, because I trusted him, because when I told him I was struggling with a personal loss, he stayed on the phone for 6 hours until I fell asleep. He never made me feel like a burden, until the day he made me feel disposable. After finding the post on the T app, I dug. I didn't want to, but I had to. I went back through everything, old texts, call logs, Discord threads. That's when I found the legal documents. I had remembered him once sharing a PDF or something unrelated, and in the chaos of my emotions, I went back to that file share and saw another one. Community property agreement with rights of survivorship. His name was on it. It was hers. Jelly. Elyun, they weren't just casually in touch. They were legally bound. Married. I confronted him. I sent a message with the screenshots, T-app post, legal docs, even one of the photos from his alleged neighbor. My hands were trembling so badly I had to retype the message 3 times. I didn't accuse, I just asked, "Damien, what is this?" His reply came 10 minutes later. "Well, thank you." That was it. It's 3 words. Then I watched the green dot next to his name disappear. One by one, my messages failed to send. On Discord, I was removed from the server. On Instagram, I couldn't find his profile. Blocked, erased, no confrontation, no explanation. No explanation, just gone. That was how our relationship ended. Not with a bang, not even with a goodbye, but with erasure. Like I'd never existed. And the part that gnawed at me the most wasn't the cheating, though that was its own kind of cruelty. It was the dismissal, the audacity of leaving me with nothing, no closure, no honesty. It's just a void where something real had once lived. I've run through it all so many times, the what-ifs. What if I had confronted him earlier? What if I had trusted my gut? What if I hadn't scrolled through that damn app? But what hurts more is realizing I wasn't some secret fling. I was a full part of his life. He made promises. He made plans. And then he folded me away like a piece of paper in his pocket and walked back into his real life. Wife, kids, military base, and all. The worst part? I think she knew. Jelly. I think she knew about me the entire time. Back when I was in Korea, I once saw a woman waiting outside Damien's apartment while I was leaving. She had the kind of posture that said, "I belong here," and the patience of someone who wasn't surprised to be kept waiting. I never saw her face clearly, but now I wonder, was that her? Watching from the sidelines while her husband played make-believe with another woman. She even sent him a message once that mentioned my name. Just a passing line, but I remember it. "Hope your little friend enjoyed the soju." At the time, I thought it was jealousy, maybe pettiness. I think it was ownership, she knew. And she let it happen. So here I am, sitting with the weight of it all. A woman exposed to a truth I never asked for, dragged into someone else's lies, and discarded like I was never there. Damien, you, and Jelly Elyun are probably still walking around that California base, living their neat, compartmentalized lives, pretending nothing happened, but something did happen to me, and I'm not going to let that truth be buried. It started as just another night, scrolling, half distracted, lying on my side in bed with the glow of my phone lighting up my face. My thumb moved in that automatic way we all know too well, skipping through videos, screenshots, and chaotic threads on a popular gossip app that had recently blown up. Tea was always boiling on that app. It was my guilty pleasure, and that night it turned into my nightmare at first. I didn't realize what I was seeing. The username on the thread wasn't Damien's, but the caption had a tone of biting sarcasm and disbelief. "Girl, how you juggling a Twitch stream, a full-time job, 2 kids, and a husband who's out here playing house with someone overseas?" My curiosity piqued. I clicked, and there it was, a blurry photo of Damien. My Damien, laughing in what looked like a living room I'd never seen. But his posture, the dimples I knew too well, and the half-sleeve tattoo peeking out from his shirt, it was unmistakable. In my stomach dropped before my mind caught up. The post had screenshots attached, Discord logs, photos of a family outing at what looked like a military event, even a selfie of him holding a toddler, his toddler. There was a woman next to him, not just any woman, her, Jelly L. Yoon, the name I had brushed aside for months. The name, he insisted, was nothing, just a friend, his ex, his roommate in California, the one who had just stuck around. Suddenly, it all clicked into place in the ugliest, most horrifying mosaic. She wasn't his ex, she was his wife, and those kids, his children, his family. My first reaction wasn't rage, it wasn't tears, it was stillness. That eerie stillness you feel in the eye of a storm. When the winds have paused just long enough for you to realize your entire world is about to be ripped apart. I kept scrolling. The comments were ruthless. Strangers were piecing together a life I hadn't even known I was intruding on. They were debating timelines, digging into Jelly's social media, finding tagged photos of her and Damien at events, weddings, BBQs. Some users had even linked court documents, public records, showing that he and Jelly had jointly bought property in California 6 months ago. Someone even posted a screenshot of Jelly calling him the love of my life in a private Instagram story from just 2 weeks ago. The timestamp was right there. 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I was on a video call with Damien, crying because I missed him. He had told me I was his person, and we were soulmates. I sat up in bed so fast I got dizzy. The air felt too thin. I could barely breathe. I wasn't just some side girl. I was unknowingly inserted into a life already spoken for. Every late-night call, every inside joke, every plan for the future now felt grotesque, tainted, a performance, staged just for me, while the real story was playing out somewhere else. I opened our message history. I scrolled. I searched for clues I had missed. Times he disappeared without explanation, or times he changed the subject when I asked about his day. Little white lies I let slide. Suddenly, they weren't so little. They were foundations of the grand deception he had carefully constructed and maintained across time zones and continents. My hands were shaking. I screenshotted everything. The T-app post, the photos, the comments, the legal documents. I needed proof. Not to confront him with, at least not yet, but to remind myself later that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't making this up, that this really happened to me. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I texted him. "Hey, do you have a second?" No reply. Of course not. It was nearly midnight, and he was probably asleep, in bed. Beside her, I got up and paced my apartment. Every part of my body felt detached, like I was watching myself from a distance. In the mirror, I looked pale and hollow-eyed. I couldn't stop asking myself the same question on a loop. How could he do this? But somewhere under the hurt, another question haunted me even more. Did she know? Because now that I was thinking about it, there had been signs. Subtle moments I had dismissed. A time in Seoul when Damien had rushed me out of his apartment after we spent the weekend together, saying his roommate was coming by and didn't like surprises. Or the time I noticed a woman, tall, athletic, waiting outside his place, parked just far enough to not be intrusive, but close enough to see me leave. He told me she was just a friend who dropped something off, and I believed him. I always believed him. That blind trust now made me feel humiliated. Had I been a joke? A distraction? A fantasy he kept going while living a double life? When I finally heard from him the next day, his message was simple, emotionless. "Well, thank you." That was it. I had sent him a long, raw message. I didn't mention the T-app. I didn't accuse him. I simply poured out my heartbreak, how confused and hurt I felt, how I had given him my whole heart and didn't understand why he was pulling away. I begged for honesty, for closure, and he replied with, "Well, thank you." Moments later, I was blocked. On Discord, on Instagram, on everything. Like I had never existed. It was like being erased in real time. There's a kind of pain that doesn't even register as pain at first. It's just silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. The sound of someone pretending you never mattered. And still, I wondered if Jelly had known about me all along. She had once sent Damien a message that mentioned my name. I saw it briefly when he was screen sharing something on his desktop and forgot to close the chat window. She had written, "Is that the girl you met in Korea?" in a tone I couldn't place. Was it jealousy? Curiosity? Annoyance? Now I replay that moment over and over, trying to decode what it meant, trying to guess how long she had known, whether she was also a victim of his lies, or complicit in keeping me on the sidelines. There's something especially cruel about being cast out of a narrative you thought you were part of, like the curtain was yanked down mid-performance and you realized you were never even in the lead role, just a supporting character in someone else's messy story. I still don't know what hurts more, that Damien lied or that he didn't think I was worth telling the truth to. But the T app didn't lie. The screenshots didn't lie. The court documents didn't lie. He did. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more of these stories. We have also handpicked 2 more stories that we believe you will enjoy watching. Enjoy.